House of Guinness centers around the death of Benjamin Guinness in 1868, which triggered a pivotal era for the family behind the world's most famous stout. However, the story of the House of Guinness actually starts around 100 years earlier. It was in 1759 when Benjamin's grandfather, Arthur Guinness, signed a 9,000-year lease for the St. James Gate Brewery in Dublin. Guinness actually began by producing a variety of beers and ales, and it was only in the 1770s when Arthur started brewing his own porter, a then new type of English dark beer. This porter was first shipped from Dublin to England back in 1796, a campaign so successful that in 1799, Arthur began exclusively brewing this now iconic dark beer. By 1801, Arthur began brewing and exporting West India porter, the higher alcohol content of which is more suited to long voyages at sea. As a captain of industry, Arthur was also a highly influential social leader. Famously, he was a devout Protestant who supported the rights of Catholics during a time of intense strife between the two communities. Before Arthur died at 77 years old, Guinness was already unofficially known as the national beer of Ireland. And following Arthur's death in 1803, the business was then taken over by his son, Arthur II. Arthur II was in charge when Guinness was first exported to South Carolina back in 1817. The first type of Guinness that made it to the US was West India Porter, known today as Foreign Extra Stout. By 1822, Guinness shipped its first barrels to Barbados in the Caribbean. Like his father before him, Arthur II supported Catholic rights but denounced Irish rebellion against the British Crown. To this end, Arthur advocated for Catholic emancipation and universal suffrage, equal voting rights for all, regardless of background. Before Arthur retired in the 1840s, his third son Benjamin was in charge of the brewery. And when Arthur Guinness II died in 1855, the then 57-year-old Benjamin took over the company. Before he took over the brewery, Benjamin had already been elected as the first Lord Mayor of Dublin, a term he served from 1851 to 1852. Shortly after, Benjamin became the richest man in Ireland, largely through expanding Guinness exports to the US and continental Europe. In 1860, Benjamin used his massive fortune to restore St. Patrick's Cathedral. From 1865 to 1868, Benjamin served as a Member of Parliament for Dublin City. And when Sir Benjamin Guinness died in 1868, he chose Edward and Arthur to take over the brewery, while leaving their brother Ben and sister Anne with much less. Eventually, Edward assumed sole ownership of Guinness in 1876, which may provide the climax for the Netflix series. Edward Guinness is known for automating the brewery's production line, including a custom railway system, and paving the way for Guinness to produce 1.2 million barrels by 1886. This same year, Edward made Guinness a publicly traded company, following in his father's footsteps by becoming the richest man in Ireland. In short, House of Guinness isn't just about beer. It's about the most pivotal era for one of the richest and most influential families in the history of Ireland. So, does House of Guinness have what it takes to become the next big historical drama? Tell us in the comments, and keep watching ScreenRant.